All right, welcome back to the Command Center. Today, we're taking complex strategic frameworks and translating them into rapid, high-density visual intelligence. We are stripping away all the fluff and jumping straight into the 2026 High-List Consulting White Paper on Executive Decision-Making. Think of this explainer as a high-stakes upgrade to your mental operating system, designed to help you take raw data and forge it into real, enterprise-grade strategic intelligence. Okay, system initialization protocol complete. Let's load up today's 6 critical modules. We'll be hitting the executive summary, the cognitive threat matrix, our strategic decision protocol, the enterprise architecture layer, some real-world stress tests, and finally, your implementation roadmap. Loading executive summary module. Okay, let's dive right into this. $500 million. That is the estimated cost of just one single flawed C-suite decision in a large modern enterprise. I mean, in today's incredibly volatile environment, relying on a gut feeling or some vague committee consensus, it's just incredibly dangerous. The stakes are simply too high. And get this, a staggering 87% of senior executives actually cite poor decision-making as the #1 cause of strategy failure. This completely reframes the whole narrative, right? Structured, data-backed frameworks aren't just a nice-to-have luxury anymore. They are an absolute competitive necessity. In fact, organizations with mature decision frameworks are over twice as likely to completely outperform their peers. Executing cognitive threat assessment. So to understand where we're going, we really have to look at the timeline of how we got here. Before the 1900s, executive decisions were pretty much purely based on intuition and hierarchical authority. The boss says it, so we do it. Then, by the 1950s, behavioral models started shifting us towards structured data. But fast forward to right now, we are firmly operating in the AI-augmented era. Machine learning and predictive intelligence are giving us real-time foresight, and it is totally transforming how modern executives evaluate risk. But you might be wondering, why do we even need AI for this? Well, it all comes down to Herbert Simon's Nobel Prize-winning concept of bounded rationality. The hard truth is, executives never operate with perfect information. We're constantly constrained by limited time, massive pressure, and just our own cognitive limits. So we end up making good enough decisions because it's literally impossible for the human brain to optimize every single variable all at once. And those cognitive limits? They leave us wide open to active system threats. There are over 180 cognitive biases hardwired into our brains. But arguably the most dangerous one in business is the hippo effect. The highest paid person's opinion. It's when executive authority wrongly overrides hard empirical data. You mix the hippo effect with a little groupthink or the sunk cost fallacy, and you are virtually guaranteeing a multi-million-dollar strategy failure. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between two crucial approaches. For your repetitive operational stuff like inventory reorders, you definitely want automated, data-driven rules. But for highly complex strategic decisions, like a massive merger or an acquisition, you have to be data-informed. The AI is there to synthesize the mountains of data, but the executive applies the human judgment, factoring in context and ethics, to actually make the final call.
Initializing strategic decision protocol.
All right, this is your actionable execution tree, and I want you to pay very close attention to step 1, problem framing. The High-List report actually notes that 70% of decision failures happen because people are solving the wrong problem right out of the gate. You've got to drill down to the actual root cause first. Once you gather your data, run the analysis, and generate options, you hit that final evaluation phase. And here, it is absolutely crucial to use the RAPID framework to assign a single accountable decision owner. Because decisions made by a committee without one clear owner, they always result in slow, diluted, and totally unaccountable outcomes.
Here is a non-negotiable rule for you. Never evaluate fewer than 3 options, period. Forcing yourself to look beyond a simple yes or no binary instantly shatters anchoring bias. And hey, even just including a do-nothing baseline surfaces non-obvious alternatives and completely elevates the quality of your entire evaluation.
Accessing enterprise architecture layer. Now, for these decisions to happen accurately and in real time, you need a seriously integrated tech stack. Raw intelligence flows from hundreds of data sources, right? It moves through integration layers like Kafka event streaming, lands in structured lakehouse storage like Databricks, gets chewed up by machine learning analytics, and is finally pushed right into the executive decision layer via personalized AI copilots. Let's move to and see how this builds across the AI maturity curve. We start at the baseline with descriptive AI, just simply asking, what happened? Then there's diagnostic, which figures out why. But your true strategic command center, that lives in the upper tiers. Predictive AI, forecasting what will happen, and prescriptive AI, recommending exactly what you should do about it. And the absolute bleeding edge right now is agentic AI, systems that autonomously execute multi-step workflows based entirely on your strategic guardrails.
Initiating real-world stress test simulations.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the ROI. JP Morgan deployed a system called COIN, Contract Intelligence. Before COIN, human lawyers were spending 360,000 hours every single year reviewing commercial credit agreements. After deploying this natural language processing model, that exact same workload is now processed in mere seconds. Plus, it has fewer errors and it frees up all that human capital for actual high-level strategic work. We see this validated again over at Walmart. They were literally bleeding $3 billion a year in out-of-stock losses. But by deploying machine learning on Azure to predict demand forecasting across 4,700 stores, they slashed excess inventory and stockouts by 15%. That single architectural upgrade is saving the enterprise over $1 billion annually. I mean, the numbers are just undeniable.
Accessing deployment directives and 90-day execution protocol.
So if you're a time-strapped leader, this is your tactical deployment timeline. In the first 30 days, you are not buying new software, you are auditing your top 10 C-suite decisions, and setting up governance. By day 90, you deploy a single high-value pilot to prove the ROI and get that first win. At 6 months, you scale that to 3 domains. And within 1 year, you hit enterprise-wide transformation, where 70% of your strategic decisions are entirely data-supported.
So, the crucial point is that AI governance is a fiduciary requirement. It is not just an IT checkbox. If you are integrating AI into high-stakes decisions, managing algorithmic bias, data privacy, and those tricky AI hallucinations is a non-negotiable regulatory necessity. Under new frameworks like the EU AI Act, deploying AI without explainability or human-in-the-loop oversight is a direct legal liability. It's a boardroom responsibility for sure.
Which brings us to a defining truth from the HighList white paper. The future of competitive advantage is not what you know, but how fast and accurately you can act on what you know. It's all about speed and accuracy, working perfectly in tandem through digital architecture. Which leaves us with one final, provocative question for you to think about. Is your enterprise still operating on outdated intuition, or are you truly ready to build a strategic intelligence command center? It's time to take a hard look at your organization's decision intelligence maturity. The architecture is there. The frameworks are proven. Now it's time to act. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next briefing.